This is Spanner from the Spanner Rig Show. We're here with Rick Becker, running for U.S. Senate. So I want to ask you, number one, you raised in North Dakota, went to UND.
Yep.
Tell me something that you love about North Dakota.
I think what I like is the sense of the pace. When I've been out to New York City, I'm just like, I can't handle this for more than 2 hours. So there's a sort of simple pace. I think I like to say that the folks here are more plain spoken. What I mean by that is what they say is what they mean, kind of a thing. And I think there's a sense of honesty too. But I would just say the pace.
So I asked that, and you kind of gave me a perfect answer to lead into my next question. So when you run for U.S. Senate, I mean, that's going to transplant you a little bit, into Washington, D.C., and I think it's an unbelievable sacrifice. But, and I was a Division I coach, and I couldn't get back to North Dakota quick enough. Tell me
Yeah.
about the sacrifice and, and wanting to do that and what, the cause maybe.
Right. So, I mean, you're right. It is a sacrifice, and I don't usually talk about that because I think to a lot of people it's like, oh yeah, sure, whatever. It's you just want to go to the big game. But I had some national folks come by a little over a year ago, year and a half ago, to discuss possibly running for Senate, and I gave it some thought, and I just came to the conclusion it wasn't for me. I don't want to go out to Washington D.C. and live there. But when I made the decision to retire from the state legislature, then I don't know. I saw things kind of in a different light, and clearly no one else was stepping up to the plate. The concern that I have is that although, say, my opponent, John Hoeven, is a nice guy, et cetera, I don't think he represents what I want to have out in DC. And I we're on a collision course, and I'm not even sure if we can still turn the ship around, but I know we have to try. No one else is stepping up. I just felt compelled. I have to give it a try. I have to go in there, and I can't have this sense of the importance to the country of turning things around and then not try and do something. So that's what it comes down to.
That's kind of good. Leads me to my next one. So my mantra when I coach and, in my house and my kids got me a shirt and whatnot, be a lion, not a sheep. So if you're going to represent North Dakota, I mean, tell us a little bit about you, your household. We have a saying in our household, don't let board games deteriorate into random acts of kindness. Last time I played Monopoly, my 10-year-old daughter, I landed on Boardwalk, and she had a stack of houses on there, and she's like, don't even worry about counting the money, Dad. Just hand it all over. No deals,
Yeah.
you're out. Tell me about your household a little bit. How competitive is it? They always say the Spain house is like a lion's
But
den, so.
oh, that's great. Yeah, the I have three boys and a girl, and they're all very close. So four kids, and they are 5 years apart. I think actually like 2 weeks short of being 5 years apart, first to fourth. And so, of course, when they're that close, there's a lot of competition. And boy, I mean, and my daughter, she is feisty because she's the youngest. She had to really fend for herself. The It's always been competitive. It's interesting too because uh, it was competitive like you would expect in a rowdy little household for typical physical games and so forth. But like you said, board games, or even you might say like debate or whatever, like discussing and wanting to have the best argument. But it's all good. The kids were always, I think, competitive in a good way where, you always hear about how competition helps, what do they say, sharpen the steel, right? And so, Yeah, they all four of them, I feel very confident. They're out in the world. They're all adults and out of college now, and I have no concerns at all that they can't fend for themselves.
No, that's good. That's good. I mean, that's the kind of person you probably want fighting for our state. And you know, for me, I was out of coaching Division One, and I just wanted to get back to North Dakota because I love North Dakota. So
Hmm.
let me ask you this one.
Yeah.
This is a sports show here. In North Dakota, high school sports are important. You know,
Hmm.
tell me what's your feeling on the importance of what athletics, kind of breeds or teaches or gives to kids. What are the benefits in your mind, since athletics are such a big deal in North Dakota?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a couple of things. The easy one to discuss is the importance of the the physicality, the exercise, instead of sitting, especially now versus say a generation or two ago, where I mean, it's important not to be tied to a screen and not getting any physical healthy exercise. But more important than that, you asked about sports specifically because of course just being outside and being active is going to give you that. Sports specifically, I would say, I a lot of times I praise the my history with the Boy Scouts of America. And I think sports offers high school sports and junior high sports offer a lot of the same thing, and that is understanding how to work with other people to achieve some goals, understanding um, and being able to take direction, to take orders. Now that's kind of weird coming from me because I'm sort of a I'm sort of a guy that says we should always question orders. But when you want to affect change, there must be leaders and there must be people that um, put put their trust in leaders and work with their leaders. In this case, we're talking about coaches and assistant coaches, but we might be talking about the team captain as well, where you recognize that you are all coming together for a specific purpose. You and we could dive deeper and say, well, you also learn about strategy. You learn about sometimes the importance of not trying to go for personal glory, but when you are acting like a team, that's how you can achieve that final goal. Whereas if you're, think about when kids are playing soccer, right? Trying to teach them the importance of passing the ball rather than trying to drive it down to the net every time.
Yeah.
So there's cooperative play. You can take all sorts of things that you learn in high school sports to the executive boardroom. So yeah, there's a lot of benefits.
So that leads me to the next one. If you're going off to Washington, so let me ask this: 5'5" kid at Century High School, super athletic.
Hmm.
6'2" kid, Century High School, equal athleticism. Do they both deserve the right to get those benefits? And I know that's a loaded question, so I'm just gonna take it a step further. Point I'm trying to make: maybe the 5'5" kid can't make the team just based on height and length. Maybe his only chance to make the team is maybe at Shiloh Christian, right? So,
Hmm.
do you believe that funding for education, I'm going with an athletic perspective on this, should
Okay.
fund the system or fund the student? Does that make sense? Can the kid take his tax money so he has a chance to play
Well,
at Shiloh versus, being stuck at a school where he can't even make the team, or he can't be the Barry Sachs in the band, or he can't, they can't get a role in the school play or whatnot. How do you? What's your feeling on that?
so yeah, it's interesting that you bring this question up in the context of high school sports and being able to go to a school in which you can maybe excel or have maybe a better opportunity for scholarship possibilities. Um, I've been a very strong advocate of money following the kid for a number of reasons. Again, I hadn't thought of sports primarily. A parent should be able to send their child to whatever school um, is best for their child, and there are a number of reasons for that that you'd give consideration. But it's not only just this public school or that public school, but it's also this public school or this private school or this homeschool or this online school. I think that if there is an amount of money that government is spending on a child per pupil per year, it really matters not where it's being spent. The parents are the ones that are going to know what's best for my kid. So yeah, I mean, in the same context with high school sports, if there's a better opportunity for their student where they think they'll excel and they'll have greater opportunities, they should use it.
Next one, and I only got two questions left, but the next one is this is a big
Sure.
topic right now. And I got a daughter in 5th grade, and I spent 25 years as a women's collegiate coach, kind of fighting for the girls' right to have the same opportunity as the guys competing. And
Yep.
as you know, in '72 they passed Title IX with 25 years to comply, right? 1997, and the world's made massive jumps in women's athletics since 1997, and now we have this. There's guys transitioning to girls, and they're competing in the women's divisions, and many of them are completely dominating.
Yeah.
And I don't care really what happens in Seattle or New York or whatnot. In North Dakota, North Dakotans kind of, where do you stand? They want to know where you stand on, preserving the women's right to compete equally.
Right. Well, yeah, I'm completely in favor of that. We had a bill for that, and I voted for it. I advocated strongly for it. Listen, this whole transgender thing, I feel terribly bad for folks that feel like they're trapped in the wrong body. It must be horrible. And if there are students that feel that way, I feel terribly for students that are in that type of situation. But we can't upset our whole world and our whole society. Clearly there are two genders. Clearly there are some physical advantages that biological males have over biological females in several areas, hence the importance for separation of the sports. When you start allowing men who in their mind are women, and even if they're transitioning, whether it's chemically or surgically, they're still men. They still have that physical advantage. And I guess the exception would be if they transition before puberty or before completing puberty. But in my mind, that's severe child abuse.
Yeah, no, it's just it's an interesting topic. But I'll leave it this one, the last one. You're a UND grad,
Yep.
right? So
Yep.
a little more of a fun question, but something maybe you can give all the North Dakotans out there. For those who have not been to a UND hockey game, can you tell them a little bit, 2 minutes? What are they missing? Is it something that you should experience as a North Dakotan?
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, it's part of the culture. It's just like you said, the barbecue shack I need to go to in Kansas City. You can't spend time in North Dakota and go to the UND hockey game. For one thing, the stadium we have now is phenomenal. I am a little sad that they put the damper on throwing dead gophers on the ice when we play Minnesota. But yeah, it's thrilling. I mean, it's big time there, and you got the entire crowd just jazzed every single game. So it's a great opportunity, definitely.
You bring up the Gophers. Your wife's a Gopher. You're former Sioux, now Fighting Hawk. When they play in hockey, is that kind of a big deal in the family? Or
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I can get on her side with Gopher football But when it comes to hockey and those rare occasions when U of M plays Grand Forks, yeah, no, then that's the only time that we are definitely on opposite sides.
Well, that's cool. So I'll give you 20 seconds to tell us something about yourself. Maybe your Amazon Prime, Game of Thrones. What's your like guilty pleasure? If you've got some time, you're gonna burn. You're gonna watch some TV. Tell North Dakota what are you gonna burn your time on?
Well, I don't watch a lot of TV, but what my wife and I'll do is try and find a fun series. You know, whether it's Ozark or whether it's Young Pope or Dexter. You know, we kind of do that. I hate to watch more than 45 minutes or an hour of TV a night. That's probably our guilty pleasure. I like to, in that same area, I like to play Oculus Quest. You know, Beat Saber in some of those games. That's kind of my thing.
Nice. I love Ozark, and my wife and I are the same.
Yeah,
We'll pick a series that's already completed. So we're not like tied
yeah.
to some time or whatever. But our favorite on Netflix is Peaky Blinders. So the next
I've
time
heard that's good.
that one's a good one. I really appreciate you coming on. That was awesome, informative, and perfect. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, it was fun being on. Thanks for having me.
Yep.
All right. I'll talk with you later.
Yep.